Today, we're talking about commercial loan broker platforms. And if you're a broker using one, or you're thinking about it, this video will change how you see them. But here's the problem. Platforms don't make or break brokers. How they're used does. And most brokers are using them in a way that quietly limits the growth of their brokerage. So in this video, I'm going to show you what a commercial loan broker platform actually is, why they're so attractive early on, where they start to compress broker value, and how experienced brokerages use them intentionally as one tool inside a larger process. If you've ever wondered if platforms are helping you grow or boxing you in, this will give you clarity. I'm Shane Walton, co-founder of the Commercial Loan Broker Institute, and we've helped launch and support hundreds of commercial loan brokerages coast to coast. And as part of this, we maintain a lender network for brokers to use, and in that, we have many loan broker platforms. And this gives us a really unique view into how the platforms are actually used by new brokers, by mature brokerages, and by the lenders who are on the other side of those submissions. So let's start off first with a shared definition of what this commercial loan broker platform is. In the market, a commercial loan broker platform usually means a system or a network or software that connects brokers to multiple lenders and allows deals to be submitted centrally and then distributed across a lender base. And that's the standard understanding. There's some other uses, but that's the most common, and it's a legitimate one because platforms are solving a real problem for brokers, and that's access. They aggregate lenders together, they streamline submissions, and they make it easier to get deals in front of capital. And in a moment, I'll explain why this is especially appealing to early stage brokers and why that appeal makes total sense. Because for new brokers, the learning curve in commercial lending is steep. You're learning terminology. You're trying to understand lender appetite. You're figuring out how to package deals that actually get funded. And platforms in this whole process can feel like a lifeline. They offer immediate lender access. There's no requirement for deep lender knowledge in order to use them. They give you speed and simplicity, and there's a low barrier to getting your first deals placed. So for early brokers, the usage of a platform is rational because platforms remove friction and help you to build momentum in your brokerage. But the same thing that helps you early can very quickly cap your growth for your brokerage. And that's what we need to talk about now. Problems don't come from using the platforms. They come from relying on them as the primary or the only solution. And when that happens, several trade-offs emerge. You have little to no control over lender selection. You can't tailor your deal narrative to specific lender appetites because you don't know what lender you're pitching. You often have very limited visibility into where that deal is actually going to be sent, and your ability to optimize for best fit capital for your client drops. So here's the key insight. Commercial lending is not about providing access to lenders. It's about fit, framing, and positioning. And platforms are solving for reach, but they do not solve for precision. And when precision disappears, something else starts to erode. Your value that you bring to the table as a broker is gone. And so we're going to look at what happens structurally in this process now. In many platform-only submissions, deals are blasted out broadly. Lenders are reaching out directly to borrowers, not through you as a broker, and the broker loses control of the narrative behind that deal. And this process happens without any strategic coordination by the broker. So over time, the brokers using the platforms become completely interchangeable, not because they're lazy, but because the system doesn't require any expertise from them. And this is where many people begin to blame the platforms. But the real issue here isn't with the tool itself. It's about the operator who's behind the tool and using it. Professional brokers, they don't go ahead and outsource the judgment process. They design an operating model first, and then they decide where the platform fits within their operating model. Platforms should support strategy, not replace it. And when a platform is your business model, you're running a deal distribution service, essentially. And when a platform supports your model, you are running a brokerage. So what does this intentional platform usage actually look like in a mature brokerage? Let's walk through that next. And this is where the distinction really becomes clear, because experienced brokers, they don't think in terms of platform versus no platform. They think in terms of capacity, intelligence, and leverage. So let's look at capacity management first. When deal flow is really high in your brokerage, platforms are used to efficiently place smaller or out of core deals without distracting from the value that you're providing to your primary clients. They allow you to efficiently still work a few deals that you would otherwise just be turning away because you didn't have the capacity to touch them. And then number two, market intelligence. Platforms can be used for essentially market research. If you have a deal that you know no one in your lender network is going to touch, you can always put it up on a platform. If a new lender strikes with a good offer, and the mature broker is going to likely see that as a new potential lender relationship. So the broker is using the platform as lender research and then reaching out personally to build the direct relationship outside of the platform with the quality new lender that they just discovered. And then number three, they're using it as a Hail Mary. When a deal really doesn't fit the existing lender stack, platforms can become the last resort amplifier, if you will. You can syndicate it broadly and then see if an unexpected fit emerges somewhere. But the difference in all of these three usages is intention. The broker is still assessing the deal. They're still structuring the deal. They're still packaging the deal. They're still controlling the story, the overwhelming majority of deals that they work on. The power is amplifying the process. It's not becoming their core and only process. So to understand why this preserves broker value, you have to look at the full lender stack of a mature brokerage. And mature brokers, they think in layers, right? Direct lender relationships are for their core deals, the ones where they focus, they add the most value, and they do again and again. Niche lenders are for specialized scenarios, and the platforms are to create efficiency for overflow or edge cases. And placement follows analysis, not just convenience. Platforms are strong optional pathways, but they're not the default routing system. And when platforms are used in this way by choice, not by necessity, the broker stays indispensable for the clients. They're adding immense value, and the same is true for the lenders because you control the lender selection, the deal narrative or story. You are in charge of client advocacy. You're creating outcome optimization. And sometimes this includes a platform, but often it doesn't. But the value is always created through your expertise, your judgment, and your intentional placement as the broker. Commercial loan broker platforms are not the enemy, but they're not the hero either. They're powerful tools, and in the hands of brokers who know how to use them, they can be exquisitely valuable. Early brokers often use platforms just for lender access. But professional brokers, the ones who grow the biggest businesses, use platforms for leverage. And the difference between those two is intention. So get out there, give big to your clients and lenders, and let's make this world a better place together.